So welcome back to the DecoyNoise podcast, where we're covering more r/am I the antagonist and taking it back to decoy court because sometimes these stories need it. And the first featured post of the day is, am I the antagonist for refusing to return a tip and telling a couple that I don't have time to play mediator? So as always, I want to make sure you guys are subscribing down below to join the Decoy Koi Pond, because sometimes when you're on lockdown or you work from home or you're studying from home, you need a friend like an office buddy or a classmate that just sits back and talks about regular drama with you, because we crave that, don't we? So let's go ahead and get to the first story right now. So OP wrote, I'm a 22-year-old female waitress at Texas Roadhouse. This is one of my 2 jobs to put myself through college. Most days are fines, but other days are a living crap. Yesterday, I was assigned a table that had a husband, a wife, and what appeared to be a teenage daughter, maybe 17. Everything was going smooth at first, and the wife ordered a margarita. The husband then tried ordering a beer. The wife instantly lost her noodles and said, no, he will not have a beer, he will have a water. She then turned to him and said something along the lines of him not needing to drink because he was driving. He said no, the daughter could drive, it was childish. Anyways, he keeps telling me that he wants a beer. She keeps telling me no. In the industry, situations like this are a lose-lose for the waitress. If I get him the beer, the wife won't tip. If I don't get him the beer, he won't tip. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. So while they're arguing at me, I said, listen, I really don't have time to play mediator here. They went silent. I went and got both of them their alcohol. Daughter gives me an apologetic look upon my return, presumably because her mother was acting bat crap crazy upon seeing me bring a beer in tow. Flash forward to after their meals. Husband has had 2 beers at this point, and wife has stopped drinking and glares at me every time I return. Wife and daughter go to the car while husband pays. Husband drops me a $40 tip on a $68 tab. I told him I couldn't accept it, but he insisted. Eventually I pocketed it. Wife comes in an hour later, demanding that I give her the $40 her husband gave me, stating that I was a terrible host and went against her, and I don't deserve a tip. She got my manager involved, who said, she is not obligated to give you her tip. You left the restaurant and the tip had already been processed. Have a nice night. She was fuming, screaming at me about how much of the antagonist I was for supplying her husband alcohol after she said no. Other guests started chiming in, saying that she was being ignorant and that I was doing my job, which is to provide guests what they want, and said that it wasn't my fault that she was a controlling wife. She storms out. Given the fact that I was put on the spot now, I feel insanely guilty. Am I the antagonist? So rushing this case over to Decoy Court, where we gotta figure out what's really going on. I want to say that I had been a server before at a restaurant that serves alcohol. I've never seen something this bad, but it's really not your place. Like, she's not a divorce attorney. She's a 22-year-old waitress that's going through college right now. She doesn't need to figure out who's right and who's wrong. And the simple fact that, you know, the wife's life is spinning so badly out of control that she can't control her husband, can't control herself, and needs to yell at some young waitress because she can't control her, tells me everything about this. Like, no matter what happened, she was gonna find something to be upset about. Just because the husband can get a beer when he has his meal, she needs to throw a fit and demand $40 from a college student is just ridiculous. OP, you're not the antagonist, but before anybody comes in here saying, fake story, why would you post this, you just want a pat on the back, I'm sure as a younger person that hasn't been yelled at by many strangers in your life, you would feel kind of bad. You're like, wow, I'm ruining their relationship. Their whole family is going to be having a fight. Daughter's going to be embarrassed. Husband's embarrassed. Wife is fuming. Is this my fault? Would it have been better if just OP said, okay, I'm not serving anybody alcohol. This is bad. Is this my fault? It's not their fault, but I could see why they would think it is. So yeah, not the antagonist. The wife, you are the antagonist, because why are you taking time out of your day to yell at a waitress driving back to a restaurant after you already got presumably okay service? But let's go ahead and read the next top comment, or the top comment, which is not the antagonist in my opinion. Manager has your back, which is really good, and the other customers as well. Really, she's pissed at her husband, not you. And that's what I think this is she can't yell at her husband anymore because he's not having it. Hey, let me get all this anger out on some person that's an hourly employee that can't yell back. And that's what I kind of feel like. People pick on people that are smaller than them because they know they won't fight back. People also pick on people at work because they know they can't fight back because they have a job, they have bills, they have like rent and everything. So it's just the same thing as a bully right now. But let's read the rest of this comment saying, Edit. I think some people are reading this as if I think the wife is harpy and drinking and driving is fine. I don't, and I have no idea what happens in their life. For all I know, he pulls this crap all the time, or she's the one that always has a glass of wine and he never gets to, etc., etc. Just it's clear that the actual annoyance was not with the staff, and that could be a thing. But the thing is, also OP talking about how she's not a mediator, she's just here to buy drinks, she takes orders and she gives them out. She's not there to try to decide who gets to drink tonight. That's not her job. But let's go ahead and do one more top comment, which is, not the antagonist, glad your manager backed you up. And everybody else, the employees are also, I'm not employees, customers having her back too. She's not the antagonist. One thing that does kind of bother me is someone saying, I used to work at the Texas Roadhouse, can confirm managers are awesome. Sometimes these companies will do something called astroturfing, where they get some very corporate friendly comments or like, you know, advertising, and they try to advertise on Reddit in a very like guerrilla marketing, you know, underneath the surface way. And I'm like, I just wonder if this is just a fake story getting everybody to think Texas Roadhouse, because this is a good way to say it's good, and also a way to get in front of everybody's eyes, because everybody, Am I the Antagonist is like front page material now, where it actually gets to the front of Reddit. But you know, maybe that's what's happening, probably not, but maybe. Conspiracy theory, you know. And then, so let's go ahead and shoot over to the controversial comments right now, if I can get the button to work, because my browser kind of doesn't work well. And then the top controversial comment was, then the whole restaurant clapped, and then someone says, I was waiting for that part. And I don't think that that's a fake story, because you know, as a waiter, you do see people arguing and not so fun things where like you're legitimately watching a relationship break up, or you legitimately show up back with their food as they're arguing about like somebody texting them like, here's your burger and here's your steak, and they're like, well, why is she always texting you? And it's just like a whole argument like transpiring in front of your face. So no, I don't think that this is too far-fetched. This is a real thing. And I'm the biggest person that's saying all these stories are fake, because I've gotten some fake stories passed on through Am I the Antagonist? But let's go ahead and go to the next post of the day, which is, am I the antagonist for taking a tip back and giving the waitress less? So another story in this realm, but something else. So maybe we'll have a different solution to it. So OP said, I have a friend who's a waitress, and because of the lockdown, she's been out of work for several months. She quickly went through unemployment and then her savings, and is in a rough spot, even though she's back to work. She hasn't asked for money and refused it when I offered, saying she doesn't want to take a handout. Since her restaurant reopened last week, I've been going in every morning when she works so she could serve me, and I can tip her 35% or more. She knows what I'm doing, of course, but accepts it because unlike a straight handout, she's doing something to earn it. This morning I had different waitress and tipped her a little over 25%, and she flipped out on me, saying she knows I tip my friend more and demanding that I increase the tip because I gave her because she has kids and needs it more. She actually caused a scene, which I believe was an attempt to guilt me into giving her more money. It didn't work. I took back the money she was waving in my face, pulled out my phone to recalculate the tip, and handed her back slightly more than 15%, telling her I don't have to tip her a damn thing, and 25% was generous. Am I the antagonist? So, in Decoy Court, a little more clear-cut case, because this one is someone that is just outright wrong. Like the other one was a little bit in the air because it was just like a husband and wife arguing, and OP could have perceivably stopped that argument if she just kind of backed off. But no, this one right here is just clearly like someone just feeling entitled to your money, not the antagonist. And also a situation for... If it was me personally, I just would have taken, okay, cool, that's not enough. You get $0 because it's not required. You can't force me. There's no force or gratuity on a party of one. So yeah, she tried to get, bite the hand that fed her in hopes that it was going to give her more, not realizing that you aren't entitled to anything just because your friend's generous to somebody else. But no, that's ridiculous. The top comment is, not the antagonist. She's lucky you tipped it all after causing a scene. Very true. The next one is, not the antagonist. As a server, this person is ridiculous and deserved it, which is a weird thing because they felt like they could wave the whole, I'm a single mom, I deserve it more, I have more problems. Like, hey, no, it's not OP's fault that she decided to have all this situation brought upon her. Yes, it's tragic. Yes, it's going to be difficult for her, but no, that's not her problem. So let's go ahead and shoot over to the controversial section, because maybe there's a different opinion over there. So, not the antagonist. You tip what you want, 20% or above. She earned her deduction by being rude and unprofessional, so 15% was fine. She should be lucky you tipped her at all after she yelled at you like that, which I feel like with this one, it's too clear cut. Like I said, I try not to read the stories in their entirety. I read the first paragraph or so to see if it's interesting and make sure there's enough comments to kind of to dive through and get like, a good prosecution and defense on both ends of the story. But I mean, this one is pretty clear cut, so I don't think we have to do it anymore. We can go ahead and get to the next story, which is going to be very controversial, which is, am I the antagonist? I told my overweight coworker if she ate like me, she would look like me. So this is probably already kind of dangerous to go into, but let's go ahead and see what they said. So OP wrote, alright, throwaway account, mostly because I'm at work and can't remember what my actual login is. I, a 25-year-old female, have been pretty skinny all my life. I eat healthy most of the time, exercise regularly, not consume my weight in Pop-Tarts, a real problem in college. I also don't think I'm better than fat people. I think obesity is a complex issue, and merely reducing the obesity epidemic to move more, eat less doesn't take into account the socio-economic complexities, mental health issues, physical health issues, etc. I don't make comments like, oh my OMG, I'm so fat when I eat a slice of cake. I don't talk about going on diets. I don't judge other people's food choices. I don't really care about what you eat. Okay, this is a lot of apologizing. And then they go on to say, about 6 months ago, a coworker named Diane, a 40-year-old female, transferred to our office. We are essential, so no work from home. She's overweight and has constantly made remarks about my food choices. If I eat a salad, she'll talk about how I have an eating disorder and promote toxic diet culture. She'll say my body is unnatural and real women have curves. One time, she even tried to make a case that the reason I'm still single is because men don't find my skinny body attractive. Sometimes, though, she'll do a complete 180. She'll make remarks about how it must be nice to be young with a metabolism like mine, or have genetics that allow me to eat whatever I want without gaining an ounce. Lady, you were just calling me anorexic yesterday because I had a salad for lunch. This constant harassment has always been getting to me, and I feel like I can't eat in the office anymore. I've tried to get this to stop. I've told her firmly to stop. I've told her politely to stop. I've ignored her and even went to HR and was told this wasn't harassment, so they couldn't do anything about it. Well, this all came to a head today. Ever since my first job, I brought in spooky Rice Krispie treats on the first day of October. They're just dyed orange and have green pumpkins and Frankenstein faces on them. I grabbed one and Diane said, I wish I could eat like you and still look like you. I said, if you ate like me, you would probably look like me. Grabbed another and walked back to my desk. Honestly, I didn't feel like I was the antagonist until another coworker said that was extremely hurtful to Diane. When I pointed out that she had been bullying me since she got here, the coworker told me it wasn't the same. That would be like using a racial slur against an African-American bully. I went too far because I can't possibly understand the discrimination overweight woman face, and I should have found another way to deal with it. I'll admit, having never been fat myself, I don't know the full extent of discrimination against fat people, and I do not want to stoop to levels of bigots. But how else am I supposed to deal with this? So, random strangers on the internet, am I the antagonist? And I already know this is going to be a very loaded story because there's so many different layers to it and lots of apologizing on her end and her trying to be politically correct as possible. But Decoy Court isn't about that. Decoy Court is just having fun and also having a bit of common sense. So let me break this down, all the different aspects of this story right here. So, OP's always been skinny and, eating healthily and knows what it is to try to be like apologetic and not try to get in people's face like, oh, eating a cake makes them saying, oh, I feel like such a pig, which is subtly shaming other people. So I do get that. But also the idea that someone came in, is older, bitter, and just wants to shame OP for being young, thin, and living their life. Everything OP seems to do reflects on the friend Diane and their self-centeredness. Like if she eats a cake, it's an attack on her. If she eats a salad, it's an attack on her. She's incredibly self-centered and just kind of sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. So yes, she's harassing OP, and that's not okay. The fact that HR won't do anything about it is kind of sad, but I'll kind of take my own particular approach to it, which isn't about my build or anything, but I remember working somewhere and my voice, my accent is what it is. And I remember there's a guy with a accent of his own, but in one of the, I'd say, more protected classes, and would make fun of me, like in front of, other coworkers and girls I liked. He would just straight up do my voice in a very horrendous, like Boston movie accent way, like, oh, hey, Tyler, let's go out there and, go to the car. And I'm like, what are you doing? And you're making fun of me right now. And I was like, see, if I sat here and made fun of that guy's accent right back to his face, I didn't know I'd be fired already, because it's like, oh, he's more of a, like, it's a protected thing. But then since mine isn't, and mine is just I am who I am. They can make fun of me. I hate everything about that situation where it's like, hey, well, just because they're more victimized than you just give them carte blanche to just make fun of everybody. You can't go back at them because, you know, they've suffered before, so now you let them just bully everyone. I hate everything about that. And also over here, the idea where, you know, coworkers are chiming in on OP standing up for themselves, I think is terrible. It's like, okay, so you'll let her trash me all day and night, every day at work, but as soon as I stand up for myself, then it's a problem. I hate everything about that. That's actually the exact mold of what white knighting is, where yeah, you let them get away with everything, but then you want to step in when all of a sudden the tides are turned or whatever. Like, no, you don't. I don't believe in any of that. I think that OP had every right to do this. The whole idea that she doesn't want to become a bigot, that she doesn't want to become part of the problem, and you know, someone that's, you know, inappropriate. No, I think that if they really truly cared about bullying and all that, they wouldn't have let, like, you know, the friends, HR, whoever was there, wouldn't let this get to that point at that point in time, because they don't care about bullying. They just care about one person over you. So I don't think that's right. I'm going to go ahead and say that OP is not the antagonist and the other friend is the antagonist, because even though, you know, Wait was involved in the situation, it's like, don't start none, won't be none situation on. If she never brought it up, if she never talked about OP's salads or talked about OP's Rice Krispie treats, this insult wouldn't have been thrown out there. So, I mean, I think they kind of brought it upon themselves by constantly picking fights with someone that probably wants nothing to do with her in the first place. But let's go ahead and see what the prosecution and the top comments are. Someone saying with stars in there saying, hey, go right back to HR with the new coworkers conversation. Elaborate on how Diane's attitude has now resulted in hostility from other employees. Make sure to keep a record of all these conversations with HR and how they declined to intervene. If you reported her in a work email, print it out immediately. Always keep your butt covered, which is a sad thing because, you know, HR is there for the company, not for the employees, and a lot of people don't understand that. The next top comment is, not the antagonist. She's bullying you because she's overweight. It's fine. Like, when did that become a thing? Yes, you could have ignored her, but hey, if she can't take it, she shouldn't dish it. Which is surprising. I thought that you know, Reddit would have gone a very different way because the way they've kind of swayed on a lot of these things over here. But the simple fact that it's true, like everybody can agree, like, hey, just because one person is of a more, I guess, protected class than others doesn't mean they get the right to just bully people. They get to shame her for being young, get to shame her for being thin, for eating a salad or eating a pizza or being single. Like, I think that should have stopped right there, saying, hey, look, if she said to OP, men don't want to date you because they want curves, it's like, okay, you can't shame their body. That's just not something that should happen in a workplace. No, just because you're on the bad end of that stick too often doesn't mean you get the right to do that. So let's go ahead and see the top controversial comment, because they had stars saying, everyone sucks here, two wrongs don't make a right. And I think that, I don't know if this person at all, but I wonder if they were being bullied and constantly, you know, made fun of at work, would they be saying the same thing right here? Would they be doing this whole like, hey, two wrongs don't make a right, don't make fun of anybody, just let it be the way it is? No, I don't believe that. I feel like this person right here, I'm not going to try to blast them and say, hey, let's go comment on all the things they said, but I don't believe that should be a situation where, yeah, if you're getting picked on, if the only way that you can get them to stop is to defend yourself, don't defend yourself because two wrongs don't make a right. I highly doubt that poster right there would agree with that if it was them being the victim of, like, you know, bullying at the workplace. But I mean, I'm not changing my decision, not the antagonist. That's pretty obvious from the get-go. But, you know, as the channel kind of evolves, we do 3 stories, we kind of be more lighthearted. I try to get everybody to join the Decoy pond to get more of a conversation, because that's always more fun. You know, let me know truly how you like the channel, the direction. 4 episodes Monday to Thursday, a Friday free episode where we do something different with DecoyNoise on the regular days of just doing Am I the Antagonist and Decoy Court, and then Fridays being DecoyNoise, where it's something drastically different and more fun, kind of making it more of a community where we just hang out, because I really do feel like this is the equivalency of being in the office again, being in school again, or like, you know, your friends where you're all hanging out, you're discussing drama, whatever you've seen in the news or whatever you've seen like from your other friends, all the other stuff going on, relationships and everything. We're having a nice little hangout, and I feel like that's what I set out to do, and I've kind of been successful for it. So if you haven't already, make sure you share this with a friend so they can also join in the conversation. But as always, if you made it to the end outro of the video, I see the likes, I see the hearts. Make sure you're liking it yourself. Make sure you're posting it on Facebook, Instagram, or you're just text messaging the link to somebody, sharing it with somebody. But as always, you don't got to do all that. All you have to do is put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.